So it's actually happening. Adrian Newey is leaving Red Bull in Q1 of 2025. And effective immediately, he is not going to be doing his day-to-day tasks in the Formula One team. He'll be still attending some races, but effectively from now to when he leaves in 2025, he's on gardening leave, only focusing on Red Bull's hypercar project. So basically, when his time is up, that's it. He can leave and join a new team immediately in Q1 2025. This year is effectively now his gardening leave. Unlike other gardening leaves in Formula One, where usually personnel, they're just at home doing nothing. Basically, they have a bit of a holiday effectively because the current team doesn't want any secrets to leak out. Adrian Newey is getting the same thing effectively, but he's just being put to work in the hypercar project that he, to be fair, has been very passionate about from the get-go. But yeah, he is negotiated an early leave because his contract was to the end of 2025. So him and his management and his lawyer or whatever, they've pulled a blinder here, an early exit. A very nice, cushy gardening leave, which still means he's going to keep his brain quite active with the hypercar project. And then, yeah, he can leave. And where is he leaving to? That is the big question after 2025, because the rumor mill has been flying about these last few days. And there are big talks of maybe him going to Ferrari, getting that romantic move to Ferrari that he's never had in his career so far. I mean, this is a big domino in what has already been, a very silly season of not only driver transfers, but team personnel transfers clearly here now today. But it all started with Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari. Are we about to see next year incredible quadruple group of Lewis Hamilton, Leclerc, Fred Vasseur, and Adrian Newey? That would be incredible. There's rumors today that Fred and Adrian Newey were maybe meeting in London today for some kind of meeting. At the same time, it's not all just been about Ferrari. Apparently, Aston Martin are very interested, and they have offered Newey a lot of money. Obviously, Alonso, he is signed for Aston Martin. He said he was staying. And, you would think, what's the reason for him staying? Aston, yeah, they've been very decent compared to previous years, but they've not made that leap up to really challenging Red Bull to how Fernando would probably like it to be. So what's the reason for him to stay? Would it be, have they told him, oh, we're going to really try hard to get Adrian Newey to Aston Martin? Probably. I mean, that makes sense to me, but apparently these reports and rumors are saying Newey's not interested in Aston Martin. He doesn't want to go to Aston Martin. He has been obviously tempted by Ferrari. He's spoken about, maybe a little bit of a, oh, yeah, it's a shame it never happened, but, it just, things didn't fall into place. But now they are falling into place. And then at the same time, there's another added caveat of, the note of there are maybe other parties interested, McLaren, Mercedes, both teams that are, they're the only other two teams that financially could probably afford to chuck money at Newey, and they're both in the UK. So compared to Ferrari, maybe that's an easier domestic move for Newey. But, I mean, for me, and I think a lot of people, surely it makes way more sense for him to go to Ferrari. This is going to be his last move of his career. I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if he, announces retirement from Red Bull, basically, because, he's been in Formula One for a long, long time, and he is definitely at that point where he could easily call it quits and just enjoy the rest of his life. But I suspect he's got one more in him, one more move in him, and one more team in him, and that would be quite poetic to end his career at Ferrari, a team he's not worked for yet, and do it with Leclerc and Hamilton, a very juicy lineup. And yeah, I mean, if it happens, you got to say hats off to Fred Vasseur as well, who's pulling some corkers in terms of getting people to Ferrari. It's also, to be fair, not all down to Fred Vasseur. You've also got to think about Elkman, the kind of head honcho at Ferrari. He was very involved in luring Hamilton to Ferrari, and to be fair, I don't think Vasseur maybe had much of a say in that, actually. But I think Newey would be a pursuit that Vasseur is interested in, and clearly because apparently he maybe allegedly had a meeting with him in London today or this week or whatever. So very, very big news. This is huge. This is actually arguably bigger than a lot of driver transfers in recent years. Hamilton to Ferrari is another one that can match it, but really Newey has been such a massive figure in Formula 1, a massive figure for Red Bull. You know, a big reason why they had that bout of success in the, you know, the 2000s, you know, 2010 to 2013, the Vettel era was all down to Newey's genius with the blown diffuser, the Coanda effect with the side pods, just the way that car generated downforce and was able to, you know, be on rails basically in the 2013 season. And then now, with the ground effect, Newey's bread and butter from Formula 1 of old, and you know, him, and obviously I know there's a lot of the people there, but technical team, but he is leading, you know, and you know, guiding people, and I think that's also part of the reason. You know, there's also that question of why has he left Red Bull. That's another whole thing. We've just discussed right now him actually leaving and what that means going forwards, but the reasons why, well, you know, obviously the whole issue with Christian Horner and his PA and all that messy affair, apparent politics and tensions between Camp Horner, Camp Verstappen potentially, Helmut Marko as well. So all that politics, maybe, you know, Adrian Newey strikes me as someone who he'd rather not be involved in all that stuff. It's kind of above him, and so maybe he just wants to get out of that whole fray. But there was also, I saw some interesting notions about, you know, maybe this started from last season. I think it was around September, October. Horner, in an interview, talking about the success of Red Bull, kind of, you know, was focusing on the rest of the technical team. And, you know, because the question was asked, you know, oh, Adrian Newey's done it again, he's created something great. And Horner was very adamant of, you know, being like, you know, it's, you know, these other people as well, you know, this technical team has really done something. Newey's not really been involved as much as you maybe say, or something to that effect. And maybe that's irked him, you know, that lack of respect of, okay, look, sure, yeah, there's a whole technical team, but why are you going on saying that I've not really had much of an influence? Because clearly he has, because it became very apparent when the new rules were coming in. Newey had stepped away actually for a little bit, and then as soon as these new regulations came in, ground effect came back into Formula 1, which, like I said, you know, was his kind of, you know, forte back in the day, you know, pre-Red Bull era. Clearly interested him more again, basically, because I think the previous regulations were, you know, not that, you know, interesting to him anymore, because they kind of hit a roadblock of how further they could take it. But a new clean slate regulations with 2020, you know, 2 coming in, I think it was interest to him. So he clearly publicly came back to Red Bull in a way, because we didn't see too much of Newey for a couple of years. You know, you would see him at some races, but he missed quite a lot of them. You know, this was a man who used to be at every race pretty much in the Vettel era, and then recently we've seen him at more races. We've seen him talking more about the Red Bull car, you know, seen him at pre-season, etc. So, you know, dynamics have definitely changed over the years with Newey, and now going into this last bit of his Red Bull career, clearly he's maybe just, you know, had enough of maybe not getting the respect in the team necessarily. You know, that's one theory from someone in the public. I think more so it's got to be about this politics stuff going on, the power struggle of Horner, Marko, the Verstappens, and also, you know, what does this mean now for Verstappen? What does this mean now? It's not just about Newey to Ferrari or some of the team. It's also going to affect the driver market potentially, because now surely the Verstappen camp, you know, Verstappen's dad, you know, who, you know, helps manage his son a little bit. Obviously, he's got his own manager as well, but clearly his dad also has a big say maybe in his career. Surely, even though Max says, you know, he just leaves it to him, you know, and maybe is more independent. I think clearly he's going to have an influence. And to be fair, Max himself has got to be thinking, right, Newey's leaving, and he is a massive part of why this car is amazing. Red Bull, they're building their own engine in 2026. There's no guarantee that's going to be a good engine off the bat. You know, they decided not to go with, you know, with Honda. They decided to make their own engine, obviously, because Honda left F1 momentarily. They're coming back now with Aston Martin. So maybe Red Bull's not the best seat in the house now, long term, like into 2026, because you don't have a Newey design car. You've got a Red Bull engine who, you know, obviously, yes, in partnership with Ford, but no one knows how that's going to be. So maybe now, yes, you would think right now it'd be silly to leave Red Bull now. But F1 and the driver market is all about playing a bit of long-term F1 chess into the future. Hamilton did it when he left for Mercedes. He left McLaren, and people were going, what? You're silly to leave McLaren. You know, they're still a top team. Yes, they're making mistakes right now, but they're a top team. Why would you leave them? But, you know, he saw the writing on the wall, and it was a bit of, you know, good play by Merck, obviously, to lure him in with saying we've got this project. But this is what I come back to. Maybe now, this is when Toto Wolff pounces with saying, look, yes, we're awful right now, brother. Brother, we're absolutely mid right now. But you know us. At the start of 2014, we built a monster engine. We can do it again in 2026. You don't have Newey anymore going forwards. Yes, we might not have Newey, but we do have good designers. You know, we have James Allison, who has been known to, design, he designed some great cars with Mercedes, obviously. Right now, it's not going well, but, they could turn it around. And obviously, 2026 is a whole new set of aero regulations. So it's a clean slate, basically. Right now, it's kind of almost like Mercedes trying to dig themselves out of a hole they already dug themselves further into. Whereas 2026 is a clean slate, and it's a chance to reset things again and see who's, out on top in terms of the chassis, the aero, and the engine. It's a big whambo combo of a technical regulation change. Or at the same time, maybe others would be interested, or could they afford Verstappen? That's another question, really. But surely Verstappen's got to be thinking. Like before, if Newey wasn't leaving, I would have said, yeah, it's a bit of fun to say he might go to Mercedes or leave Red Bull. But, why would he leave? But now there's a massive reason for him to leave, because Newey's not going to be there. Key figure. And, what happens with Red Bull going forwards? I don't think this is the last of the grenades going off in this team. I think maybe Marco's going to have some sort of say in what he's doing. Could he sway things? Yeah, and, It's a real mess. Red Bull is a real mess. It's a big sitcom of a team right now. But it's making things very juicy for us in the driver and team personnel market. Yeah, very, very interesting. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comments below. If you are new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. If you have enjoyed this video, hit the like button. I know usually, obviously, lately we've been focused all on the gaming stuff, and I haven't really done an IRL F1 video like this since the video we did on Hamilton leaving Ferrari, but that's because that's how big this topic story is. All the other stories don't really compare to the magnitude of something like this and the magnitude that was Hamilton leaving for Ferrari, because yeah, this is big, you can't argue with that. Newey is a huge figure in Formula 1. In fact, years ago, I did aerospace engineering in university to get into F1, and obviously then sacked that off for clearly YouTube. But the reason why I wanted to go into aerodynamics, first and foremost, was because of people like Adrian Newey, the genius that he is. We joke about him seeing airflow IRL. Yeah, it's big. It's big when he moves a team from a team, especially because he's been at Red Bull for so many years. So had to hop on and make just a quick sort of casual sort of video about it, because man, this is interesting. These kind of topics I'm all for discussing on a video, because it's interesting to talk about. It really is. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. I'd be really interested to read about other opinions, what you guys are making of it. And yeah, we'll see what other news is about to come through in the coming weeks and months in Formula 1. Till the next one, guys. Hope you enjoyed the rest of the day. Goodbye.